Call to order. Call upon Mr. Peter Caruso of St. Bernadette Roman Catholic Church for the invocation. Mr. Caruso. Anyone speaking into the mic, talk directly into the top, okay?
Let's be mindful of the presence of our God. Well, Heavenly Father, we come to you this morning, offering prayers of remembrance for today, December 7th. We commemorate that date in 1941, December 7th, as our President Franklin Roosevelt declared, as a date which will live in infamy. Some Americans still have some difficulty understanding the minds of an enemy of our country, no matter how irrational and dastardly as their actions were. The brave servicemen who lost their lives by a cowardly sneak attack certainly paid the supreme price, and hopefully are now in your divine sight as we prayerfully pay tribute today to their bravery. As we continue on life's journey, we place our trust in you and ask that you continue to bless these United States of America.
Thank you, Mr. Caruso. I'd like to call upon Lieutenant Harry Paczkowski of the Honor Guard for the Pledge of Allegiance. Lieutenant.
Detail, hut and hut. Honor Guard. Hut. Present, arm. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Order, arm. Order, up. Parade, rest.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Fellow veterans, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for attending today's service to commemorate the 76th anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor, Hawaii. This past May, I had the honor of visiting Pearl Harbor. It is now a place of peace, with very little evidence left of the battle damage incurred on our military forces on that day of infamy. I toured Ford Island, where most of the Pacific Fleet was anchored. Two mooring posts still remain. One is marked Oklahoma, the other Arizona. Upon boarding a U.S. Navy launch to the Arizona Memorial, the whiteness of the memorial was highly visible from across the harbor. Upon walking into the memorial, there is a feeling of sadness and solemnity. No one is speaking except in hushed tones. The memorial sits atop the USS Arizona, from the starboard to the port sides of the doomed battleship. The hull is submerged and is visible. Also visible is a large opening in the deck which previously housed a large gun turret. Oil still leaks from the hull, and a sheen of oil is observed on the surface of the water. It has been calculated that the oil should have been exhausted after 76 years. However, these drops of oil are now called the tears of those entombed in the ship. Over 1,200 men and women. The honor roll of all the missing is engraved to the rear of the wall of the monument. I thought of the time I had seen pictures and movies of the attack and how horrible it must have been. May God bless all lost on December 7th, 1941, and may we never forget their sacrifices and the sacrifices of all have and are now guarding the gates of freedom. May the Heavenly Father of us all continue to bless the United States of America in these troubled times. Peace to all. I'd like to call upon VFW Post Commander Chris Belowski for your comments. Commander.
I'd like to thank everybody for showing up today. for these services, and on behalf of the Sayreville Veterans Alliance Committee, I invite everybody after the services to the VFW for a buffet. Thank you for coming.
Rich? Rusty? What you going to say a few words on behalf of the United States?
I'd like to call upon the Honorable Mayor of the Borough, Mayor O'Brien, for your remarks, Mr. Mayor.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming and attending our December 7th ceremony. I'd like to thank the Veterans Alliance, the Sayreville veterans, without whom we wouldn't be standing here as a free and proud nation today. We come here and we gather each year so that we don't forget, in hopes that we don't have a repeat of what happened. Sayreville is a proud community, a patriotic community, and we're eternally grateful for those that served and for those that made the ultimate sacrifice. May God continue to bless and protect the United States of America and those servicemen and women guarding our gates of freedom.
Thank you, Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, Commander Bishop from the American Legion Post was unable to be with us today, but I'm sure he's here in spirit, and we recognize both him, his officers, and the men of the American Legion. Thank you. Our guest speaker today will be Mr. Stanley Drawell, Lieutenant Colonel, United States Army, retired, graduate, United States Military Academy, West Point. Colonel, if you would, sir. I had the following question. I was thinking this morning, here we are on a cold December day standing around at 7:45. If a bystander spoke to you leaving this parking lot and said, "What are you guys standing around out here on a cold morning for?" what would your answer be? Well, I have two answers to those people. Number one is, we're here to commemorate the death of over 2,400 Americans in Pearl Harbor. But not only those who died on the ships, the airfields, and the barracks at Schofield, but also those of the greatest generation who survived that battle and continued on for the next few years, along with the draftees and volunteers who poured into recruiting offices on December 8th. To me, it's very clear because that generation is my parents, my uncles, school teachers, priests, ministers that we all grew up with, Boy Scout leaders. And we were lucky to be able to speak to many of these people when they were still alive. We still have a few members of that generation here today. Who manned those ships? Who manned the planes on Pearl Harbor? Most people don't realize that the senior NCOs, non-coms, and officers were veterans of World War I. During the 1920s and 30s, during the massive cutbacks and the Great Depression, a little known fact is that the military was not even paid for several months. Soldiers and sailors were given 3 meals a day, and their families were given utilities and a place to live for several months. And they never got that back pay, but they continue to show up every single day for duty. Imagine that happening today, and imagine what it would be like the coverage of that in our news today. Another fact that is not considered is that the draftees and the volunteers did not sign up for a specific tour of duty. If you have relatives, if you looked at their paperwork, it said for the duration, and nobody knew what that was. There were war plans that actually had us fighting until 1949, if you're a history buff. Imagine signing up now, an open check, and somebody says you're going to be in the military until the war ends, and you don't know when the war's going to end. So I believe today we not only commemorate the dead, we commemorate that entire generation that fought and won World War II and brought peace to the world, for at least for a short period. That's one reason I'm out here myself. The second reason is Pearl Harbor, like 9/11, was a warning to America of what happens. We live in a dangerous world. Most of us standing here today are veterans. We know what the world is like. We've seen it. 9/11 was a modern Pearl Harbor, but like our Pearl Harbor we celebrate today is becoming forgotten by many people. I ask you to ponder the following thoughts. During World War II, if you talk to your parents, if you're my age, there were blackouts, There were barricades built around federal buildings. Bases were heavily armed. You had armed guards on the coast of New Jersey. But one thing happened. In 1945, with the defeat of Japan and Germany, the blackouts ended, the barricades came down. After 9/11, we started a war. We started fighting in 2001. We continue to fight today. And what do we have? We still have barricades in our cities. We have armed guards patrolling our airports and our bus terminals and train terminals. I ask us, why is that? And the reason being is, we live in a world just as dangerous as 1941, perhaps more. We have a massive movement of Islamic extremism that actively said they will kill and destroy our nation. We have two nations, Korea and Iran, who constantly talk about killing us and getting rid of America completely. And we have to be aware, at least we have this warning today. Imagine, this is my last thought that I would ask you to ponder. Despite the ferocity of World War II, you did not have incidents in America, German and Japanese American sympathizers blowing up bombs, shooting people as in San Bernardino. We didn't have Christmas markets being attacked. And that was during a massive war from 1941 to 1945. So I believe in the end, why am I here? And I think all Americans should remember Pearl Harbor, again, to remember those who died and those who fought and eventually won. And number two is to remember the world is a very dangerous place. And there are people who would like to destroy our nation, and we should be aware, just like we should have been more aware of Pearl Harbor, but unfortunately are caught with our pants down. And I hope each and every one of us keeps aware, talk to younger people about the history of what happened, so that we never will allow another Pearl Harbor or 9/11 to occur, at least on our watch. So I thank everyone for coming today, and thank you for remembering our fallen comrades at Pearl Harbor. Thank you, Colonel.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll now have the ceremony of the tossing of the wreaths upon the scene. I would ask the VFW Commander and Lieutenant Baxkowski to step forward, and also Captain Streck and Task Commander Kosmowski to step forward on behalf of the Legion. I would now like to recite verse 1 of the U.S. Navy hymn. I feel it's very appropriate for this morning's service. Eternal Father, strong to save, whose arm hath bound the restless wave, who biddest the mighty ocean deep its own appointed limits keep. O hear us when we cry to thee for those in peril on the sea. Captain Streck.
Half right, good.
Ladies and gentlemen, just like that you all know that there's a breakfast planned at the VFW post for everyone directly after these services today. And on behalf of Rich, as you were. Rich, we need to do the wreath, let's do it. Rich and I will present the wreath on behalf of the Sayreville Veterans Alliance. I would also like to thank the Department of Public Works, Parks and Road for getting the park in great shape for us today and for setting up the microphones. I'd like to especially thank the honor guards of both the VFW and the American Legion for your attendance, and all post members and members of the public. It's very special. It's a very special day, and it's very special that you took time to be here today to honor the memory of those lost many, many years ago. So again, I would like to thank you all for attending, and have a good day. Thank you. Please come down to the post for breakfast.